Aloha, everybody. This is Tiggy Maximus with Tiggy Maximus Talks, episode 147 on YouTube. So, a lot has happened, more or less, since the last time I talked to you guys. And I want to thank you guys for listening to my podcast, watching the podcast, following, subscribing to the podcast, donating to the podcast. And if you feel like it, guys, there is a link on my Spotify episode where you can make a small donation towards the podcast. Tiggy Maximus Talks. So, just so you guys remember. So I did go to a comedy show last week. I went kind of light on going to shows. Plus, I was under the weather just for a little bit. But I did go to a show Wednesday night. It was at the Regal Bar in La Mesa. And it was headlined by, I think the guy's name was The Sharpest Tool You Know. I'm guessing the guy's name is Eric. So I went to that show. It was kind of a, last minute thing, and you know what? I've always been one to look at some new comics and not kind of see the same comics over and over again. And this was a treat because so I got invited by Mimi Harris, one of the good comedians out here in San Diego, and I was in for a treat. And I got to see comedian Victor Paz. He was doing, I believe, some video, not only for the show, but I guess for himself as well. And the show was hosted by Alan Maisel. First time meeting the guy, cool guy. Apparently we have the same interest in city tacos. So, more on that later. And it was a good show. Now there's a patio at the back of the Regal Bar, and it was super crowded. But that tells you that if everybody's packed in there, I guess it's a very popular show, and I can't wait to see what it is all about. So I got to see. So I kind of came in a little bit late, so I did see a Walter Ruskin, but I didn't hear his set, so I'm not going to talk about that. And I didn't hear much jokes coming from Alan Maisel, so I'm not going to talk about Alan Maisel that much. But I will talk about Victor Paz. He did a quick set. So he had some jokes about his, I guess you could say him being Latino. And what's cool is that I found out that he's a big fan of boxing. So cool guy. We got to talk afterwards. So it was interesting hearing him do his set. Got a good bit of the people laughing, so he was already an 8.4 out of 10 from what I can tell. I can't wait to see him do like a longer set, see how he does doing like a longer set, because I think he was only given like, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. So and then there was an intermission. So, and that is because it got to the last two comics. And, sometimes it's actually not too bad to have an intermission as opposed to just doing rapid fire, one comic after the other. But in this case, you had a little bit of a break, which is not too bad sometimes. Um, so, um, let's see. After Victor Paz went up, and uh, the next person that went up was kind of the, I guess you could say, the featured comic before the headliner. So that was Christy Masutani. So, and I guess this might have been her first comedy set um, that she's been doing on her own right before her headliner. So, and she's only been doing this not too long, actually. And wow, I gotta say, she won over the crowd, and um, it was an amazing set. She talked about a lot about prayer. Talked about, um, you know, guys, loss of hair, health prayer for bringing hair back. Hoping that the Hitler mustache goes away, because I guess apparently no straight white woman ever finds that attractive. A lot of facial hair and a lot about top hair. I don't know if I'm part of that targeted joke or something. The targeted audience for that joke. I mean, you can see that I'm losing my hair, and I have a unique style to my facial hair. So, I don't know. She probably thought that maybe I'm like one of the guys that happens to spark inspiration for their set and just kind of ad lib, maybe. I don't know. Or seeing guys like me and then kind of help her build her set around stuff like this. So if that is the case, I'm glad I'm helping out in some sort of way. So motivate people, motivate comics. If you can make material off of my face, then so be it. So, but yeah, I think she talked about family. She talked about prayer. Um, one of the funniest things was that she talked about how she was destined to be like a dog mom, and apparently her dog gets more action than she does. So that's just hilarious. Honestly, I gotta say she was like a 8.75 out of 10. Uh, and then we got to our headliner. I guess he's known as Eric, the sharpest tool you know. And apparently he sells those Cutco knives that you go door to door sometimes and do demonstrations at homes and tell people why you should buy them. And apparently he still does it. So he had some fun jokes talking about the Cutco knives, going door to door. But yeah, he was pretty funny. Crowd liked him a lot. Um, I would say, um, he was an 8.7 out of 10. I got to talk to him for a little bit after the show, and I happened to corral him with Victor and who apparently was on the show earlier, Shane Chase. Finally got to meet the guy, good guy, and got a picture together, and then talked a little bit about comedy, and then I guess everybody had to go their own ways, and then the funny thing about some of these convos after this show. So apparently, some of these comics that have been doing this for a while, or a little bit longer than a while, and given that Christie just started doing this not too long ago, what I heard in convo was kind of interesting to me because they were to say that how good she was and how she did her set, and to have that kind of it factor when it comes to bringing something to the table, when it comes to being unique in the comedy scene, it takes all of them much longer to do what she just did. And that kind of opened my eyes because, like, the fact that she just started doing this probably less than a year, less than 2 years into this, and all these comics have been doing it for more than 2 to 5 years or something, and they are impressed that she can do this in such a short amount of time of learning comedy, and then already is in a featured spot and is already like backed by a comic like Victor Paz. And the fact that I just saw her do it and could see it firsthand that the crowd liked her jokes, liked her delivery, and honestly, if she keeps working at it, she's gonna be headlining shows herself. So that's something. Um, and one comic said that Steve was actually funnier than Eric, so the headliner. So that is quite a compliment. And some of these comics I can't wait to see, like Shane Chase, Victor Paz, Christy Matsuani, and yeah, I can't wait for more of these comics. Kind of see more of these comics kind of mixed in there, and if they get better, they'll be featured in some other shows I've been seeing. So maybe Don't Tell, maybe Cash Comedy, maybe um, Dubs Comedy, maybe Josh Edelman, maybe Sarah Halstead, Ahmed, just to name a few. So watch out for some of these names in the future. So what else? Um, well, Lakers. They not only did they went undefeated in group play for the NBA Cup, but they won their quarterfinal game yesterday against the Suns, and now they are in the Final Four for the NBA Cup. So tomorrow the Lakers are going to be playing the Pelicans, and they're going to be in Las Vegas, along with the Pacers and the Bucks, who are going to face each other on the other side of the bracket. And the winner of those two games will face each other in the NBA Cup Finals, which is December 9th in Las Vegas. And the game is going to be on, I believe, 8 ABC or something. So 5:30 p.m. That should be something. I'm going to try to find a place to watch this. So I got to say, this NBA Cup action is kind of accelerating the mid-season form for the Lakers and for any other team, because usually to go play 20 plus games at this point and you still haven't found your form yet, sometimes you might get some surprise results, some you get some expected results. But the fact that you're playing with motivation, there's money involved, and the fact that these games are actually counted within the regular season, so it all works out, and you get some awesome basketball action, and you want to see that every night. Nobody's taking off for the night or something. So aside from your usual injuries and your rest, but it's kind of cool. It's really nice to see that. So hopefully the Lakers go all the way, win the NBA Cup, and then be on the fast track to play better games against the best teams in the NBA, and hopefully we'll be there in the NBA Finals and maybe win the whole thing. LA Kings, they're doing really well. I'm going to try to find a way to go to a Lakers game and LA Kings game, because they're both doing well at the same time, and treat myself to something like that. uh, within this year. So cross my fingers. Um, I mean, the Kings beat the uh, the Colorado Avalanche 4-1, and they were one of the final four teams in last year's Stanley Cup playoffs. And the Kings, I think they're going to play the Canadiens the second of their head-to-head, which they usually do head-to-head for the season. Get 2 games. The Kings already beat the Canadiens before, so hopefully the Kings will do it again. And then we'll see. Chargers, they were on a 3-game losing streak. They ended up 4-7. They were losing to teams like the Chiefs, the Lions, and then they lost to the Packers. But even though they lost to the Packers 23-20, and just couldn't get that game-winning drive to happen, plus some drop passes. Quentin Johnson, I hope he gets some more consistent with catching the ball, because he's been dropping a lot of balls that are at crucial times of the game. But the Chargers went to Foxborough. They got to play the New England Patriots. They hadn't beat them in like 18 years. And I guess it was been almost 20 years since the last time. No, it was 15 years ago the last time the Chargers did beat the Patriots, but it was 18 years ago the last time the Chargers actually beat the Patriots in Foxborough. So that's a long time. So Chargers went in. They beat the Patriots in Foxborough this past Sunday 6-0. It was an ugly game, just 2 field goals for their efforts. And the Chargers did shut out the Patriots, who were, technically one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL. But a win's a win. Get your momentum going. And plus the fact that the Chargers are going to be coming back to LA and play the Denver Broncos. And what's at stake in that game is, with the Broncos at 6-6 and the Chargers at 5-7, apparently whoever wins this game is going to be in second place in the AFC West division behind the Kansas City Chiefs, who, by the way, also lost to the Packers on Sunday Night Football. Hopefully the Chargers will keep this momentum going. They're very streaky, but hopefully they get things going, got the home crowd behind them, playing against the Broncos. And anytime you're playing against a division opponent, you got to bring your A game, and helps you move up the standings. So they were in last place in the division. This win will put them in second place, and we'll see what happens. If anything, right now the Chargers are 2 games out of a wild card spot, a playoff spot. So I feel that if the Chargers keep winning their games, and technically if they go win their next 5 games, basically winning 6 in a row, they will end up 10-7. That should help them get by teams like the Houston Texans, the Vegas Raiders, the Denver Broncos, the Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, the Indianapolis Colts, Buffalo Bills. Any of those teams, get by most of those teams and get one of those 3 wildcard spots. So still a lot of football to go. One more thing. I'm actually doing pretty well for at least 2 of the 4 fantasy football leagues I'm in. One, I'm tied for first place, but I am in second because of tiebreakers, and there's 1 week left. And I'm pretty sure I got a first round bye, so hopefully, I get to beat the number one guy in the finals, assuming that I get through the semifinals, which is how I got there by a bye. So hopefully my players will keep doing what they're doing, and hopefully bring me a second championship in that league. The last time I won in that league was 2016. So hopefully 7 years since, and hopefully I make my return to the top. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself. Um, and then let's see. Well, um, there is my own league. I'm in 10th place. I was about to win, but because the Jacksonville Jaguars game with the Cincinnati Bengals wins overtime, my lead evaporated and I actually ended up losing, which was a must win for me against another team member that happened to have the same record as me. So I need a couple of teams to lose, and I need to win the tiebreaker by having more points than they do, and hopefully squeak into the playoffs. But cross my fingers how the results going to come out. One other league, I think I'm in the top four. You need to be in the top six, so I think I'm okay in that one. I'll probably be number 4 seed or 5 seed, or 3 seed, and hopefully I might win some money in that one too. I've always did well in that league. I've always been in the finals, but I never could close it out when there's money involved. So we'll see what happens. And there is one with the work league. There's 2 weeks left in that one because it's basically top four. I'm in like 9th place, 8th place. I'm behind by 2 games with 2 weeks to go. Essentially, I have to win out, and whoever's in front of me has to start losing the next 2. So cross my fingers. But I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one because I lost some important ones. So it sucks because when you need to win, you need to win it. But when you lose a game when you need to win, it's kind of hard to come back because it takes you 2 weeks to make up the ground for that. So yeah. So wish me luck, guys, in fantasy football. Who knows? Next week I will tell you if I did pretty well or not, or the next couple weeks if I'm a champion or a chump. Anywho, I'm going to a comedy show tonight at the Palio Wine in Little Italy. It's on India Street, hosted by Cash Comedy. Trenton Davis is headlining, and you got some interesting comics on the lineup, including Cash. You got Melissa Wiseman, always a favorite, and you got Joe Smith. It would be a first time seeing the guy, actually, I think. Anywho, more comedy to talk about. Next time I'll talk to you guys more about food, more sports, and, tune in, guys, and thank you for listening. You know the saying goes, boom! Tiggy Maximus signing off. Baby! Alright, later, guys.